Okay, this is the meeting of the Fairfield Bike and Pedestrian Committee. It is December 15th, 2022, approximately 6:05 p.m., and I am Steve Neidick, the interim chairperson for the committee. So with that, I'm going to defer. As of right now, we do not have a quorum. We only have 4 members. We need 5. So I'm going to defer the second item on the agenda, which is the approval of minutes from November. And we'll go right to the town updates, and we'll go in the order they're on here on. Bill Hurley is here. And just so, well, Tim knows, and Steve doesn't know, and Mary knows, but Tim sent out an email to me and had a couple of questions, one for Bill, 2 for Bill, I guess, 1 for Frank, and I think that, and 1 for the Department of Public Works. So that's why I have something next to some of the names here. They were from Tim's email. So let's start with Bill, and if you could just go right to the Fairfield Woods Road, and actually was that the one that you had on there?
No plan.
I'm sorry. This was from that accident that happened, and I added that in there near the end. So, Bill, either way.
Well, either that or Tim, if you want to refresh, if you'd sent me the email, I get 1,000 a week, so I got okay.
Yeah, and then I forwarded you and said,
you said you wanted to spend 5 minutes on something.
Right.
So refresh my memory if you don't mind.
So my question was, on some of the roads, I know the response got the technical language down, but essentially there's like a white line on the right side, which is an unofficial bike lane, and especially on Mill Plain, it's used a lot by people riding bikes. And my question was, how often do they sweep that area? Because I ride down there fairly regularly, and a lot of times I'm riding in the traffic in the road part because there's sand.
Yeah. Okay. So that wasn't Bill.
No, but I can answer that a little bit.
Well, I did get a response from.
Oh, you did get it from John Marsilio?
Well, I sent it to John, and he forwarded it to John Cattell. Okay. And the original response was from John that, hello, we do have a quorum. Tom is here. The original.
Setting a token edge on the subway.
So the original response from John was that the entire town is swept once a year beginning in the spring. Following the various business areas are swept on a rotating cycle due to the increased traffic and litter. The white lines on the side of the roads are called edge lines. They indicate where the lane ends and where the road shoulder begins. They are also used for traffic calming by visually narrowing the vehicular travel lane, thereby having the motorists reduce their speed. So I followed up and I sent back John. I said, thank you for the info, but can you comment specifically on Tim's, which was removing debris from the bike paths, sticks and stuff like, and I get it, if you're riding a bicycle and there's, trees, not tree limbs, but any kind of stick that's in the path. And at this point in time, I sent that on last Monday. They have not gotten back to me with a response. Do you have any ideas on that? What?
Is that the homeowner's responsibility to keep the curb clean?
Not by charter. It is for snow removal of a sidewalk,
right?
Okay. But not on the roadway. I would say the best approach, and this is just my suggestion, being with the town for a lengthy period of time. I would say is if you have a specific location to let them know. To go up and down, to be honest with you, they have a laundry list of stuff. There's 5 or 6 projects that I know they're at least 6 months behind on that I have or whatever. But if you specifically said there's a large tree, branch, or an area that is inordinately, what I think they're hoping for is somebody who walks by or somebody on a bike that sees it. If it's something you can pick up and just toss into the woods, that you do that.
A lot of times it's not a large branch.
Right.
It's just
a lot of little stuff.
A lot of little stuff. Sometimes it's glass there.
Yeah.
If you run it over, you get a flat.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think anybody who's ridden a bike, if you start getting what I'll call 3-dimensional sand, you know what I mean, and you could easily, catch a tire on it and whatever. So that part you're absolutely right on. But some parts, to just let you know, the town's going with a salt solution now. so the sand isn't there, so it might be just
brine.
coming from debris or whatever. But if you have a
It-
specific location on Mill Plain Road, it's better, because Mill Plain Road's a mile or two.
Okay, my
Yeah.
point.
Sure, I know.
Is, if we're gonna create, I think when that was made, I wasn't on this committee, but I was involved in another town, I remember
Mhm.
talking to these people. Rather than being able to sell the idea of dedicated bike lanes, which would mean that people living on Mill Plain wouldn't be able to park in front of their house. So a compromise was to put in this.
Bike route, right,
Yeah.
and shoulder,
So it's
yep.
not an
Mhm.
official bike lane,
That's
but it is a
correct.
bike lane. So if you're gonna do that, then don't you, you gotta kinda keep it clean.
Well, again, it's one,
If you're not going to, then don't waste everybody's time.
Yeah.
You know, why are we doing it?
Well, again, if it's excessive or it hasn't been done, and now again, chances are they did the sweeping in April. So we have had 8 months to maybe have them do it twice a year. And again, I can't speak for another department. I don't think that that's that unreasonable. They do the downtown area at a bi-week, twice a month schedule. But by quote law, they only have to do it once, and that's not, believe it or not, for even safety reasons. It's for environmental reasons that they have to sweep the
Because of
road.
the storm drains?
I mean, how
Yeah.
many complaints are you getting of that? Like, that's the other
Probably
thing.
not a lot.
That's
No,
the thing.
that's the thing.
Well, you know why? Because you're riding, you just suck it up and you move into the,
Well,
into the travel lane and just.
But you know, to be honest with
But,
you,
you know,
that might
the point
be,
is, if you're gonna do that, then you gotta think about the whole process. You gotta keep it clean, or just don't
Well, because,
bother.
I mean, I think some roads, like what you're mentioning is, like I see it because we have accidents on all these roadways, so I
Yeah.
see a lot of that, but, some of the stuff may not get completely picked up, because the tow truck drivers, they don't have like vacuums, they have brooms, or you see some debris that's gonna be swept away in the sides.
Yeah.
But like what I'm saying is if we have, like you say, problem areas, I mean, I suggest you, obviously, yes, not everyone wants to call it in, but it might not be a problem all around town.
Right.
It may be a heavy problem on Mill Plain Road, let's
Well,
say,
yeah.
because of the traffic, the everything, so that might be.
And that's a road where, I see people biking all the time.
Mhm.
You know, I'm riding, I see people going both directions. So it is, it was a great idea. It's a wide enough road, you put in that.
I'm not disagreeing, I'm trying to.
I don't think there's a problem like that all around
But
town.
I also think though, in all seriousness, if you had a branch that's 6 inches from the curb or a little bit of sand accumulation, like you said, you suck it up and let it go.
Yeah.
However, if there was so much sand or whatever, because as you said, the Mill Plain is about 5-6 feet wide, that it actually takes you out of that and into then I think that is a warrant, and if you had that location in particular, or a block, rather than just say Mill Plain
Yeah.
Road, I
Between
think
X,
then it
Y,
would come out, yeah. Because then they're just the way they are, they're not gonna go up and down. But if you had a specific area, I think they would clean it. I think I would.
You know, I've used the DPW form, the online form, a couple of times. A good example, a good example I can give is that when I walk my dog, I go down by the marina and I come down the post road towards the Fairfield Inn on that sidewalk. In the summertime, across from kind of where the restaurants are, the couple of shopping centers there, the sidewalk was only about this wide because there was this much growth onto the sidewalk. And I sent the thing in, and it took maybe, a couple weeks or whatever, but they did come out and they cut it back so the sidewalk was now 3 foot wide again, because at some places you actually did the same thing, you had to step off the curb, walk onto the post road and get back on, But point being, they were pretty responsive. And I think maybe we get the message out there to the biking community that if you see this stuff, please.
Yeah, report it. 'Cause, I mean, the town comes out for a lot of different things. I mean, we even call them, and I mean, even if it's not like a thing that's a primary priority, I should say, they have a list that they work off. So I think I think it's more of like they have to have the knowledge that there's an issue there, and then they'll be more.
And also, by being specific, I hate to say it, but there's different degrees of public work, or even town or private.
Yeah, I mean, it's
people.
like, honey, you don't show me you love me. What do you want me to do?
But it's also that to send somebody out there, Mill Plain Road, let's just say
Yeah.
they go by Mill Plain by Round Hill. I don't see anything,
Yeah.
but if you're specific, then.
Yeah,
then-
say between-
A house number or between this.
Right,
whatever-
right.
The easier you make it for them, the better chance.
And that's part of maintenance, I mean, like,
Yeah.
if you,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
as long as they do clean it.
Now,
so-
I'll give you an example. There's been two other ones where somebody said, I would like sidewalks on Morehouse Highway. We're not gonna put 4 miles aside, but if you gave me a particular block, especially if it was a continuation, then maybe things start rolling. The other, same thing with, I want a street light, but if you give me the pole or give me the address, it's a lot easier than having someone try to find the problem, unless it's that obvious, but you know what I mean.
Business 101, make it easy for someone, and you'll get something.
Yeah. But, so that would be the approach I would take.
Easy and
then,
specific. I think
You get a little bit
specific is-
more,
Yeah.
To make the generality, Tim, I think that, all the bike paths maybe should be, cleaned. I don't know how many miles of, official and unofficial bike paths there are, but it's a pretty big number, I think, and it would take somebody to ride.
That's
Sweet
added on.
Well, I mean, for a lot of it, I mean, unless you know the signs or you know the maps, you wouldn't know it's a bike path. It's just the road. There's a sign over there. What the hell did that say,
Well, we are, every now and then, we go to these seminars or find out, and some towns might push the envelope a little bit where they do the bike symbol, but then they don't enforce the no parking, so then you
Yeah.
run into a little bit of legal issues. Even when the Bike and Ped Committee was formed, it was under the premise that this wasn't gonna be cost, because at the Board of Selectmen, they had to say, well, no, DPW would do this as part of their normal thing, that if it starts costing them extra money, then, that might be an issue. So you gotta kinda figure out a way. They usually will do something for you, and hopefully that would be the case on this. And especially, as I said, if it really does, at the particular location, forces you in, you'd like to think that the reason why they went into public works is to help people, if you know what I mean, and so that's a good point.
Okay, and the other
They may not
point.
even be aware of the situation.
Yeah, the other point that Tim
Sure.
had was the lines on Ville Avenue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no
And that was
line-
traffic mitigation related, right?
So those aren't bike lanes.
Technically, those right now, the shoulder lines are, just like you said, edge lines or whatever, to give the,
traffic.
to slow the traffic or give the, illusion of maybe the road being narrow. However, there's nothing saying that we can't make it a bike route if that was so desired, or eventually a bike lane if there would be nobody or 90-something% of people don't park there. I know the one section you have no problem, there's one,
It's a real busy
Route
road.
to,
Yeah.
Greenfield Street, there's 3 or 4 cars that always park there.
Right.
Now,
You have so many multifamily,
Yeah.
houses there, so you have all,
yeah, they have, and but again, you drive, it's frustrating, when you drive by, you see the 2 or 3 cars, and then you see an empty driveway, it's like, come on, and then that's where, if it's just pinpointed, whether it's someone in the neighborhood, whether it's the town, you kinda say, hey, you know what, they're thinking of making this, a bike lane or whatever, and it could mean no parking.
Right.
If you kind of park there, and then once in a while you park, or they make it a bike lane, once in a while you
Try to
park
tell
there,
people that.
then
They on the
maybe
street.
you won't lose your right for the parking,
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah.
having owned multiple family houses, you tell tenants to park in the driveway, then it becomes who's leaving at what time.
Yeah, I
Oh, then
know
they get
that.
a
Oh, I
price
know
of
that.
who-
Oh, I know.
It-
But I'm just saying, when there's nobody in the driveway, it gets frustrating.
I
If
can't
you
tell
see
you
3
how
cars in
many
the
times-
driveway, 2 more, when
People arguing, that's my spot, it's in front of my house.
Oh, I know, or the car jockeying, like you said.
They have all that going on.
If you're the one deepest, then you gotta get out, now you gotta ask 2
Crazy,
tenants to move their car, so, yeah. But, I mean, we try to do
But
our.
if nothing else, I would view it as an improvement as opposed to, if you have to ride your bike on there, to have that as a little bit of a safety
Yeah.
barrier, okay, even if it's not intended to be
Yeah,
a bike lane.
when we sat in or listened in, whatever, with, the New Britain people,
Mhm.
and they said exactly that, they put the shoulder line up, but they weren't taking any parking. They weren't gonna fight that.
Not gonna battle it,
Getting the
yeah.
line on the road was the victory they wanted.
Mhm.
And to your point, now, a lot of these roads, like a lot of Mill Plain, no one's parking on it, 'cause
Right.
No,
you're terrified of parking a building, because you're gonna get banged, you know?
Right, and they're a little bit bigger,
therefore,
they have wider
you
driveways.
get what you
less
want, and you
multi-
didn't have to put
Yeah,
up with the fight,
right,
you know, and
yep.
everybody was happy, and then they moved on to the.
So the question is, it has the potential to be a bike route or a bike lane if we wanted to, do that. But that was the main reason, was as kind of a traffic calming effect, and in particular, in between Lewis and Nichols, where the S curve is. I haven't even had a chance to go out there in well over a month, but they were supposed to, and I don't know if they've done it, to crosshatch those areas. They have, okay. And to really emphasize that we don't want people parking there, for, you know, to help the sight distance, and, you know, they'll be doing.
Cut that street. They're gonna do.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, well, no, there's a gas company, utility company.
Yeah, Burns is, contracted out, they're gonna be doing pipe work there, so that road is gonna be a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're gonna be closed. Yeah, I know, it's weird how they,
Well,
everything's timed by.
Between COVID and the utilities canceled their quarterly meetings with the towns.
Yeah.
And I've been trying now for about 6 months to try to get that back together again, because it's just ridiculous, you know, between, you know, Connecticut Gas being bought out, now they're owned by UICO or Avangard, and then Aquarian is now Eversource.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
crazy.
And then you have, just like with the state and the town, you know, some retirees and whatever, and now it's all new people, and there's no connections. I mean,
All all the
I
companies.
used
are
to
all
know
the
10
same
people at
thing,
Aquarian, now I know 2,
Yeah.
you know, it's, so, but these are good, points to bring up, and that's kind of the purpose of the meeting here, so that at least we can go back to, whoever's either in charge or who's ever in charge of maintenance, and at least let them know it was brought up at the meeting, and,
Great.
so, thanks.
And the last one, Bill, was
Sure.
the thing that I sent to you. I forwarded you some. It was, I'll share it. It was on, it's called Fairfield Moms Facebook. My wife is on that. And someone was walking with their dog on the intersection of Fairfield Woods and Burroughs and got, so I think sideswiped is probably what happened,
I have all
because.
the, I can give you.
Oh, go ahead, sure,
Yeah,
thank
that'd
you.
be great, yeah.
Because one of the things you asked me was, how can you guys get updates? Well, you can get the updates through me when I come, at least that's one way. Another site that's really good to refer to is, the Yukon Crash Repository. I don't know if you guys use that, but, it's an excellent site. You can, I believe even as civilians, you can register. You don't need to register. But if you go to that website, everything is based upon all the statistics that we enter in for our accidents. So there, you know, the accidents we have, state mandated codes that are filled in for different things, whether it's a pedestrian accident, whether it's a bicycle, whether it's a drunk driver, all these different things that are entered into the form. And then it actually, the website has a nice dashboard where it gives you all the breakups, and then you can select just Fairfield, and it'll give you the stats based on what we enter in.
What level do they take that down to? In other words, a pedestrian, certainly death is number one on the list, okay, of a statistic. But how about injuries, or in this case, well, maybe you can follow through with this case and how that was reported.
So I have all that for you.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah,
And then
I wanna hear
also
about
give you
it.
another one. That one there, that particular case that you're talking about, it wasn't a speed thing, but I guess the car didn't see the woman with her dog.
Do you know which way she was crossing? Was she crossing Burroughs or Fairfield Woods?
She was crossing across Burroughs.
Across Burroughs, heading towards Bridgeport, let's say. I don't know what direction, east, I guess, would be.
Yeah, I think it was, I don't remember, but I did look at that today.
Going to Stratfield,
Going towards Stratfield, whatever, yeah.
Okay.
We weren't able, we did try to look at some video. We weren't able to come up with a vehicle. It sounds like the vehicle stopped, but
That's what I heard.
She did is she went up to the vehicle owner and started yelling at him and doing all whatever she was doing, and the guy or the person that was driving either got scared or whatever and just took off.
Yep.
So obviously they saw that the person wasn't really injured in any way. I heard that.
I got the impression it was a serious injury.
No, I heard she had an abrasion on her leg,
and her dog got hit.
had a small abrasion.
Skin knee kind of
It was
deal?
like a little abrasion, it was something like that.
Yeah.
But it did turn into a big thing.
No, people make it into a
And
big
I
thing.
believe the vehicle stopped with it, she just went, you know, the person went upset, she's upset. So
Yeah.
let's face it, a car hits you, you're gonna be upset, no matter what.
So did she wait for the police to get there? She called them and then that's
Yeah, she
how it all...
reported it, but then
Yeah.
we tried to follow up with some, the Ring cameras and people in the neighborhood. We weren't able to come up with anything more. So that was a dead end on that. So it was just reported for insurance. Back on 11/18 though, we did have another pedestrian accident. This was a gentleman who was shopping at Trader Joe's, normally does take in the crosswalk at Black Rock Turnpike and Burroughs by Patriot Bank, that crosswalk there. But this particular night, he decided that he didn't want to go there because he says that sometimes people go through the red light there, so he doesn't want to cross.
That is a problematic intersection. We've asked the state for some assistance and guidance, but the way it's skewed, the angle
Yeah,
of the
we've had a
thing,
couple police car accidents.
without taking property.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know if they can do anything more to.
We've been looking and trying to have people study.
So Burroughs is the problem.
But he was not, this gentleman here was not in that intersection.
Mm-hmm.
He decided to cross, and he was pushing a shopping cart. It was about 5:15 at night. He was pushing a shopping cart, and he decided to cross at Candlewood Lake, Candlewood Road. So he was on the TD Bank side of the road of Black Rock Turnpike. And he came across diagonally,
Is there a crosswalk there?
there is no
That he
crosswalk.
could have used? Okay, no crosswalk.
No crosswalk. And the way that he crossed, the line of sight to the car, the person, she didn't see him, because it
So he
was
went
blind.
from southeast, northwest, he cut across the intersection.
So he went, so let's say he was going west to east, he was walking west to east towards Candlewood. So when he crossed and he got into the right northbound lane, he almost made it to Candlewood, but just gets hit with the corner of the car, and he actually gets thrown all the way across the road into the north side of Candlewood Road. He incurred, he had a contusion on his head, and he had a leg fracture from that. The car speed, we did estimate it with the drag factors and everything, was only going 26 miles an hour, but he got hit at 26 miles an hour. Very different. So speed limit there is 30, not unreasonable. The woman said, she just was driving, and all of a sudden this guy just boom, ended up in her line of sight, and she didn't see him, because it wasn't even like he went straight, it was like at an angle. And like you said, that's
5:15 is dusk.
There is a light though, there is a light on the corner of Candlewood and Black Rock on the north side.
Street light, right?
A street light.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know, I'd have to look and see, but I know that's kind of a dark area at night. It's very not well lit, but again, you gotta be in a crosswalk.
Mm-hmm.
So that guy actually gets cited for reckless use.
Well, as you know, going through these things, there was one where I saw the pedestrian literally didn't even look, went across the lanes, and it's kind of, you can't blame the drivers. But we've also known where the driver's on their cell phone, they're speeding, and it's 100% the driver's fault, not the pedestrian. They're supposed to be where they are, and so that's why at least getting these details definitely helps. I did want to at least make a comment on Fairfield Woods and Burroughs. That was in engineering. We did a plan. It was right before COVID. It got sidetracked. I did though push and say, hey, you got to at least do a crosswalk. So believe it or not, there wasn't even a crosswalk there. So we thought putting the crosswalk would have been helpful. I have to see if they moved the stop bar or not. And they were supposed to do a couple of other things, including a handicap ramp, which wouldn't have had any impact on this. But that's still on the to-do list.
Is the crosswalk on Burroughs or Fairfield Woods Road?
No, it's on Burroughs.
It's on Burroughs.
Because there's the stop.
Yeah.
And just so you know, we went an extra step too, because I talked to my lieutenant about all this, but we also wanted to see because some of the crosswalks are not well painted or they haven't been updated. So we did talk to George, and he updated us that the crosswalk had been painted or refreshed, so that, that again, for sight reasons and stuff like that. So there may be some of them that are not as well painted in town, or, but that, I think a lot of it's more like state roads.
It can all vary.
It can all vary,
It's an
yeah.
area, well, there's two types of pavement marking, I'll just do it real quick. You can paint it, which only lasts a year or two, especially if cars drive over it.
Clouds, yeah.
Or you could do epoxy, which is a little bit longer, I mean, more expensive, but it lasts like 7-8 years.
Yeah.
And so we try, if we know we're not gonna have to touch it up or
Yeah.
have utilities rip it up on us,
Right.
we will try to do the epoxy, so it lasts a lot longer.
Did you ever look into that material I brought to the meeting about 4 or 5 months ago?
Yeah, I
The
have
3M
looked
material?
at, yeah, I have looked at that,
I know it's a little expensive,
Yeah,
but, you know, for high traffic, it's a, I used to work for the town of Reading, just, you know,
Mhm.
and, our highway department bought this material, and certainly Reading is very low.
do you know where they actually put it on, though?
Right in front of Town Hall.
Right in front of town,
Yeah.
Reading Town Hall?
Yeah, and Cross Highway.
And, okay,
Cross Highway where the
okay.
blinking light is, has it.
Okay, yep, I've been by there.
And by the schools, on 53 and 58, I
Okay.
guess.
And that was for crosswalk?
Yeah,
All
yep.
right. They didn't use it for edge lines or anything?
No.
Crosswalk.
But it's a
okay.
material that has kind of like raised, I'll say bubbles for lack of a better term, and it lasts a really long time if you put it down right. And I think the best part about it, my understanding from the DPW guy there, was that it's more plow resistant, because epoxy is not.
That's gonna be the first excuse they're gonna use, is, oh, well, if I put it down, the plow's gonna rip it up, so. this
But the
is good to know.
epoxy, I mean, I live on Reef Road, and, you know, the intersection by the dump there, that's all epoxy, and it's all chewed up. I mean, that's a pretty important intersection there, I think.
So sometimes it's a pavement condition too, obviously.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
if it gets wet, or there's a little bit of a puddle that's there, that could eat it away.
Eats it up.
But, on your, that's important to know, and was it Jeff Hansen, or is it?
Jeff
okay.
retired, though.
Yeah, he was with the state, and then.
Yep. Yeah, Jeff retired, and I can't think of the new guy's name.
Yeah.
They have a new guy there.
Oh, okay, 'cause that would have been a good connection.
Yeah.
See what I mean by the ones retired? Like,
Yeah, so do I.
But I, sometimes I do some hiking in that area, and, next time I'll check out the sidewalks, and you're saying they were put in, what, 3 years ago or so, you think?
I'm gonna say at least 2 or 3 years ago,
2 or 3
yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
all right, so I'll
And
point
again,
that out.
I know
to
Cross
our-
Highway and Newtown Turnpike, I'm pretty sure that's one.
Mhm.
Definitely in front of Town Hall is one, and in front of the 2 schools, the elementary school, and the,
Not the high school.
not the high, I actually don't know about the high school, to be honest. They
They
did put,
moved
they
that.
did put a crosswalk
Yeah,
on
they moved
on
it
Black
or
Rock
something.
Turnpike,
Oh,
which is
okay.
kinda crazy, because the kids go to that little grocery store there.
Yeah.
And it very well might be, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, all right, but the elementary schools, okay. I'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
I did bring it up to them once, but I think it fell on deaf ears, to be honest with you. But
to me, it's one of those things, I mean, I'm gonna guess that, I don't know, just the 80-20 rule that, you know, 20% of the crosswalks have 80% of the traffic or whatever type of thing, you know, so, you know, you gotta identify the ones that are high volume.
Well,
I mean,
well,
that's the important.
the one idea I'm thinking of is if for some reason, like if we get this RRB put in, or if, by St. Paul's, or there's some emergency where we need to do the sidewalk, you know, crosswalk, you know, and it's winter, oh, we can't paint it. Now you could use this,
Yeah.
you know, and.
You need a
and-
roller,
and-
you have to buy a roller, but I don't think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I think certainly the application is very important on how you do it. It has to be dried and primed.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And then rolled but then it's good, so.
Just like wallpaper, you gotta
Yeah, you gotta do it right,
You
man.
gotta do it right.
It's like any other job, you do it right, you know.
But,
When you put the
that-
epoxy
yeah.
on, if you
Matter
don't
of fact, I
put,
have it still in my room, just to let you know, I have it in my office
But-
there, so.
like, even epoxy, if you don't put it down right, I don't know what the conditions are. I'm sure it should be dry and, you know, whatever, it'll
Right.
affect it
Yeah.
over time, so.
And then let me just, real quick, just explain too, is, and again, when someone makes a list of comments or whatever, some of the stuff is valid and some isn't. You know, the town has tried to go by the master plan, that we had. I know, Sarah and a couple other people that used to be in the Bike and Ped Committee wanted to try to update that, master plan, that it's, you know, 10 years old, and then there's another one that's 3 or 4 years old. Nobody's opposed to that, it's just a matter of, you know, workload
Who's gonna
or
do it?
trying to do it right. And a lot of times, just like with any planning document, you try to do as much as you can with it, I'm disappointed that there were a couple things that haven't been done yet. You just gotta keep on pushing and whatever, but then sometimes we get sidetracked. You know, all of a sudden, I could be wrong, but I'm not even sure if a Mill Plain Road, I know the bike route was on the master plan, but recently there's been talk of crosswalks and sidewalks and all that. They may not have been on there. The Villa Avenue was something that, again, a generalization was in there, but then it became hotter. I know we've done quite a lot that's on that master plan, and I also know that in the hopper, we have over $8 million worth of sidewalk improvement and grants, including one that we just got, Reef Road and Round Hill Road, a $500,000 grant. We're always constantly looking and trying to improve things, and that's what the master plan, it's really a dual face. One is the master plan so that we can apply for grants and get funding and catch the eye of certain people. But those people were right. You really should be progressing. Now, again, if you list 20 streets or whatever, I don't know if we have the budget or the funding to do all 20.
Well,
but if you chip away at it, then eventually you look back and you go, oh, wow, you have done that.
Or priorities, give them an A, B, C rating, which one is the most.
And you try to do the priorities if you can. And
well, we've talked about this multiple times. You know, I've been on the committee about 6 months now, and probably 4 to 6 months it comes up. And then the issue is it's outdated, but the first step in the process is to identify the things that are done and get them off of there. Okay, let's see what still needs to be done, and then add things to it. That's really what it requires at this point, in my opinion, because the charter for this committee says we are the ones kind of that are supposed to, you know, implement the master plan as best we can, or to kind of keep on top of it, add to it, that type of thing. You know, so it is an important thing for us, and it's 28 pages. The one from 2013, I think, is 28 pages, and the last 6 pages are for a job position for a coordinator for something or other. And last time it was done by a master plan, one of the West Cogs, I think, did it or something.
MetroCog.
Yeah, and we don't know who should be doing it or who, you know.
We could ask them for an update, or if they're able to do that again. Yeah. But I also know that they're stretched thin. And then the master, the complete streets policy and all that, one of those, I don't know which one, I have to admit, I get them confused once in a while, had a whole list of, you know, how many miles of crosswalks or how many miles of sidewalks were put in. And all these are nice parameters and benchmarks or whatever. And I think the first year and a half, I was able to keep up with it, but I haven't been able to. Nobody else in town has adopted it. But then also the Bike and Ped Committee was supposed to do, and they didn't do it either. And so it's just, everybody's busy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, the master plan to me is like current stuff, okay, the way I read it. Like, you know, there's a list of 10 intersections in there that probably needed to be looked at, and this, that, and the other. The Fairfield Metro train station sidewalks, or, you know, infrastructure and all that stuff. But the complete streets is more about going forward. When you put in a road, these are certain things that, you know, we think we, as the, or it's the federal government, I guess, actually, that the complete streets policy.
Well, the state has a policy, and the town.
But we're not sure those things are being done. See, that's the issue that we.
Well, just on that note, their zoning is also aware of it, and they have done certain things where they widen the sidewalks as part of that.
Right.
They make sure that if there's a development of a certain size, that they even include bike racks or something like that. And so, now again, is there one person keeping track of everything? No, but I can tell you, and this was a meeting with 1 or 2 people from the Bike and Ped Committee and the town officials, including the first select woman and the director of public works, where again we went over everything, and it's like it has been done, it just hasn't been fully verified. But I can tell you, and again, we're not getting many new streets with subdivisions either, you know what I mean, in town.
But you know, that's the starting point, I think, for this group, is to get them to let us know what has been done. And it's just a matter of taking a ruler and drawing a line through it. Somebody could always go back into the document and put finish next to it or whatever, we wouldn't, or have an appendix of completed projects, we don't lose any history of things that were done. But, I think that we're at a loss for, we need town help, is what I'm gonna say.
And I'm not disagreeing with that.
For both of them, to at least tell us where we are.
I think the question on that, though, is that, from what we understand, the complete streets policy was adopted by the Board of Selectmen. It was given to the departments in town that interact with that. So the question was, okay, so that happened. Are they following?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. When any new proposal that comes in, or any road that's being, quote, reconstructed, I can say, yes, it is. Anything that comes through our office or zoning, I know it's.
Does somebody actually sign off on that bill that says the complete streets policy has been?
So there's
No, that's what I'm saying. There's no
documentation.
But that's what
It's a feeling.
That's what
It's not a
that's
check
what
off.
needs to be done, though.
It's a concept that I
Right,
know is
but-
being
but-
enforced, but it's not
Right.
being verified, if that makes sense.
So if we could get a check off, otherwise it's.
And if not,
It's,
there may be a
show me
reason
your love.
why you can't do some things in certain areas too,
Right.
and that's fine
To
too.
get
but-
approvals to do a project, you gotta get sign-offs from a bunch of different
Yeah.
agencies.
Right.
So if that's included in that sign-off,
There should be a box, there should be a line on there.
Now again,
How do
it
we
just
get
shows you
that?
how things are. Supposedly, there was supposed to be a conduit from zoning when a project does come up, that they were to invite somebody from the Bike and Ped Committee to go to the meetings and make comments on behalf.
Well,
So-
and the other part of it too, supposedly that nothing gets done, or most stuff gets done with non-town funding, okay? And since that's a kind of a state thing, okay, it's really important to be in compliance with that, because I think if you go to apply for funding and they say, well, it's you to complete streets thing, yes, good, that's the first box that you check where you're in the line for funding. If you say no, it's like, you go to the back of the line.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons
you don't
why
get
it
the
was
money,
passed.
so
That's why we've been able to get these $8 million worth of grant, and that's where, in conjunction, the Complete Streets policy was on behalf of the Bike and Ped Committee, zoning, engineering. I'll give DPW a little bit of credit. The police department, I think, was involved in it, and so that's where it was a group effort that everybody should be proud of. It's just a matter of, as I said, and it's everybody just keeping track of everything, and it hasn't been done.
You kind of get the impression, we do anyhow, maybe incorrectly, 'cause I don't know a tremendous amount about it. It's one of those things where people spent a lot of time on a document, and then it gets put in somebody's filing cabinet either under their desk or behind them, and nobody looks at it again.
Yeah, there's a little bit of truth to that. There's only a couple people that are looking out for that, and as I said, I know Emmeline up in zoning, Jim went, myself and Mega, who's here sometimes. But really, anybody at DPW looking at it, I really don't know. The police department, I think, would be on occasion. But
it all comes down to a sign-off, that's my opinion. So anyway, that's kind of on our agenda of something that we need to focus on, so we can move on.
But that's where, again, we try to improve on things.
But we need help.
That which gets measured gets done. So if there's a check off, it'll be in people's minds. If there isn't a check off, it's.
Especially because the Board of Selectmen agreed it, and it's saying it should be a policy of the town. So if it's a policy of the town, somebody, or multiple people, have to sign off on their part of the part of it that relates to their functionality. So anyhow, enough of that.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Yep.
But maybe that should be one of the things we talked about, what we take back to Cup Check is, this is one of the things we want. In other words, to validate everything we're supposedly doing or supposed to be doing.
Yep.
This is what we want. We want a check off in all these various stages or projects was supposed to be done.
I got a feeling that there's a lot of stuff in there, but there's not really a process to take it from the beginning to the end.
One of the things, though, too, that at least could show you, we're trying to move forward is, the town, recently has a pavement management program and a sidewalk inventory. It's still in its stages. And the town has funded almost $500,000 out of town or ARPA funds, for whenever they pave the road, to make sure they're doing the handicap accessible ramps, and things like that, which is a part of the complete street policy. So, you know, the message is getting out on that is when DPW does that. So I don't know what roads have been actually paved or not, but somebody at DPW does. And so, you know, it's really just, again, like you said, having somebody put stuff together so that you can say what, you know, what.
Do they have a paving schedule? So like at the beginning of the paving season?
Should, yeah.
They have a tentative paving schedule. It always gets adjusted.
Right.
Based on which residents pitched the loudest.
No, actually, that's
how it
the way
worked
it used
in
to
Reading.
be.
I'm telling you, that's how it worked in Reading.
Yeah, I was gonna say. But with this pavement management, now they're you know, they're trying to do areas or regions.
Squeaky wheel, man.
And then they have a rating and.
No, he made, what's his face, Bucky made a big
Yes,
point of that
right,
in the meeting with
But you're right, that's the way it
Brenda.
used to be, yeah.
And one of the things, when she said, tell me what you want, blah, 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 and he jumped up, don't talk about roads. And he went into the whole thing, there's been a whole master thing, we hired a guy to come in to take this out of the politics. We can say, sorry, Mr. Schwartz, you're not getting it this year because of, you know, X, Y, and Z.
But
So.
it would be helpful for this committee to know that, because if we were to look at the paving schedule, there might be some roads on there that would be appropriate for, sharrows or different things to make.
Yeah, what I can tell you, if I get the list for for the spring season,
Yeah.
I will gladly share it with this. There's no problem with that. Number one, it's public information, and number two, it's part of this.
Actually, I've tried to get that, and I ran into.
Well, again, sometimes what they'll do though is with being draft, what they were afraid of happening is, let's just say, we have Mill Plain Road on there. And then all of a sudden, Villa Avenue gets dug up by the gas company, and so now, it gets, you told me this year, and so that's one of the reasons why they don't want to do that. But, as I said, sharing it here for strict, you know, purposes, and again, reminding that it's a draft or it's tentative, I think I could do that with you guys. I
Like
got
the
no
word
problem.
draft.
Yeah, exactly, yep.
That'd be helpful.
All right, great, thank you, Bill.
Sure. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Santina, you still there? Uh-oh.
Yes, no, I'm here,
Oh.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm here. And
Sorry to
I'm
wake
just gonna
you.
No, it's okay. No, I'm driving, and I'm just gonna apologize in advance. My 5-year-old is also in the car, and for some reason, whenever I start to talk and get on the phone is when he decides he needs to scream and tell me he needs something, so.
Yeah.
Apologies in advance.
No
but
problem.
actually, it's pretty short. I don't have much of an update. You know, just one thing, listening to you guys talk, I can't help you about, like, the complete streets project. But, Steve, if you want, I can send you all of the final reports I've ever sent to the state so you can get an idea of, like, all of the sidewalk projects and the bike route projects and, like, how many miles the group has completed. So I can send that to you if you're interested.
I would like a summary. I don't know. I want all the reports.
You sure you don't want all of my fabulous reports that I'm pretty sure no
nothing
one's ever
personal,
read?
but summary would be.
Okay. Yeah,
Thanks.
I can absolutely gather that
Thank you.
together and give me like a week or so, and I can.
Oh, that'd be great.
You.
Yeah, for the next meeting. That'd be great. That'd be wonderful.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. And like I
You
said,
know,
I really don't
Santina,
have.
if you can CC me on that'd be great too, just so I have a recap that I can get.
Oh, you got it, Bill. Anything for you.
Thank you.
And so I don't really have much besides the fact that, we're starting to think for year 4 of the grant. And so, Bill, what I was thinking is maybe you and I should connect after the holiday and kind of come up with some idea for projects and then maybe bring it to the group in January to kind of have a discussion. Does that sound reasonable to you to kind of think about what?
Should. The goal is to
project
make
you wanna
sure we
do?
get this stuff in by July and not September 29th.
That would be amazing.
I know. We're trying hard. That's my New Year's resolution for you.
Okay, sounds good. And then, so if that sounds okay with everyone, Bill and I will kind of think about some projects that will be in that like $15,000 range, and then we can kind of have a group discussion. And I think you guys just, it doesn't have to be anything formal, just you support the project. And then I think that's it, Bill. Just keep in mind that $15,000, and then there's an additional $7,000 for the bike route for signage.
Greenfield Hill?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think Nate said he had some talks with you, or maybe not, or some ideas of where some signs should go. But
Hey, I'm sorry, one other piece, the last section on South Pine Creek with the tree, the guy that didn't want us to, is that, anything happened there? There was an owner that didn't want us to cut down a tree or go around a tree. I forgot. Has there been any change on that?
Yeah, we have, our survey crew, I have Raymond working on that, and, we did one section, even further than what we were supposed to, I think.
But it's still not connected, right?
But yeah, there's still some work to be done.
But there was money for that, right? Somewhere?
Yeah, that's part of the,
yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, it's what,
and I think,
next.
Is that for year 4, Phil? Is that what we wanted to do? Is allocate some money for year 4, from year 4 in there?
Now, year 4, is that this particular season, or?
Yeah, so it's October of this year until September 2024. Oh, no, 2022. No, 2023.
2023, we got
2023, yeah, okay.
I swear I'm getting lots of sleep.
I was under the impression that we were gonna continue the South Pine Creek Zone to connect it, and then if there was issues or it's over, but,
Okay. All right, well, let's connect before the next meeting.
Yeah, we'll confirm that and find out, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is, Tim, I promise you I will call you back tomorrow.
It's fine, don't worry about it.
That is it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be safe.
The South Pine Creek tree, I think we were able to find do a layout that would just squeeze it in and work.
And satisfy the guy.
So, I don't know if it's satisfying, but.
Yeah, too bad.
Where on South Pine Creek is the tree?
I don't know.
Near Old Dam Road.
Okay,
okay.
so
But it's across the street,
But it's north of the par 3 or south of the par 3?
If I recall, I'm trying to think, it's either one house before.
Oh, one house.
I think it's one house before Old
Okay.
Dam, on the west side.
Opposite side, right?
Because once you pass Old Dam, there's like no sidewalk,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that would be the connection.
Right.
But we're starting in this,
You gotta fill in the.
and that's the thing, just real quick, in a nutshell, that gets a little bit frustrating. You come up with an idea for a sidewalk or a bike lane, and then you have people that are against it because they park their car there, or they don't want you tampering what they appear to be their landscaping, or they built their fence or landscaping in the right of way, and now we gotta make them take it out, and, but again, you gotta balance it, and for the benefit of most people, and that's where, again, when you tell them, we have support from the neighborhood, we have support from the bike and ped, support from town officials, then, and they're the only ones that are objecting, it's a little bit easier to win that argument, So, anyway, I've talked to them.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah,
Appreciate all your input, as always.
Sure. Thank you. All right, I'll wait.
All right, guys, and I have to hop off, but if anyone needs anything, please don't hesitate to reach out, okay? Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Bye.
Yep. Okay. All right, Mary Hogue? Still there?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Great. Okay. Boy, you guys have a lot to cover. I really don't have too much to talk to you about. I just would like to follow up again if there's any interest in collaborating with Sustainable Fairfield and Forestry. We used to have, so I come for both of them, and then we used to have bike ped people coming to our meetings.
Yeah, I think the issue, Mary, I'll address that right now, is that, we had a very large turnover in this group, and we're still not fully, we're still missing a member, so until we kind of see get the group thing straightened out and the leadership and all that, we're going to have to give us a few months before we get involved in that, I think.
Okay. Well, I'm still coming to you, so I'll, be the liaison both ways.
I appreciate that.
So we are documenting the things that the town does on an ongoing basis when we, for the Sustainable CT certification, when I updated the minutes for you, that's a really helpful certification for the town to have. So, because that's how we get that funding that you mentioned in your minutes. And it also gives us access to expertise and hearing about what other folks are doing. So there's stuff in there about, you know, other towns that have bike ped commissions, complete streets policies, and so forth. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel and you can connect with other people, I'm happy to help you go into Sustainable CT so you can see what I'm talking about. The only update I wanted to tell you, which isn't firm yet, is that we will be having a celebration because of our town certification in the program and becoming climate leaders this year. We got certified last year, and it's looking like it will be the last week in January at the Fairfield Museum.
Oh, great.
It's like 5:30 to 7. So we'll be sending invitation via email to you, and hope you all can join us for a little toast to ourselves and our town. That's really my only update for you.
Hey, Mary, is this sustainability anyway connected with CCM? You know, Connecticut Conference of Municipalities? Because they do a sustainability award thing and all this stuff. You know
that is the award. That is,
oh, okay.
That is
all
the
right.
award.
Okay, so it is the CCM award.
Well, no, it's actually Sustainable CT, and it's done at the CCM conference.
Right. The meeting in October, November, right? They make the awards?
Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah.
were just there when we got our Climate Leader Award.
I used to love going to that meeting when I worked.
Yeah, it's a really big meeting, yeah.
It is a big meeting. That's where they had the debate there, right? Again, the gubernatorial debate, right?
At the CCM meeting,
Yeah.
I only go to get our award because I don't really get involved in CCM. The CCM is more for town employees. I'm not a town employee.
Okay.
So.
All righty. Thank you.
Yep.
Have a nice holiday.
I did want to say
Bill has one thing for you. I'm sorry.
No, well, just in general is, I know there was a group of people, this came up at the, police commission meeting, yesterday. The sign here, you might have seen them in the, you know, a couple of crosswalks.
The knockdown signs.
Yeah. I have at least convinced the police commission to do a pilot program where the one maybe at St. Paul's here, and they're going to add one at Mill Plain Riverfield School.
It's actually there already, isn't it, at St. Paul's?
Yeah, but they take it in and out. They take it in and out.
Oh, you want it there 24/7?
It goes to bed.
We're trying,
I don't think you'll be able to leave it out.
You can't leave, it doesn't make sense to leave it out, though.
Well,
I mean,
some people do leave it, and that's where...
Yeah, you can't leave that out.
So we're doing it as a pilot program to see, because they're claiming their workers are feeling unsafe taking it in and out.
Yeah.
And,
oh my God.
There was...
They live across the street?
But you don't want a pedestrian crossing sign at 1 a.m. in the morning.
There was a push by, people who live on Mill Plain Road, that they, and a couple of members of this committee, to make it permanent, because they do that in Newtown, and they do that in Weathersfield. And so, we're doing it as a two-month trial, or whatever.
I just don't think it's a good idea to be fixed.
I don't think they're bright enough.
People are gonna hit them, and then...
Well, the key thing...
People are gonna run them over on purpose. They know it doesn't do anything. It just bounces down, lays down, right, and comes back up.
And it's supposed to come back up. That's what it's supposed to do.
Right.
They get bent or whatever. The key thing, though, is that they don't roll around. Because they roll around in the lane, then that's gonna be an issue.
At night, you might have, it could cause problems. People could, mistakenly think it's
Get confused somehow on it. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I think
well, it's like the other, you were talking about last time, when they put up the electronic sign, your speed is, after a while, it loses its effect, because, whatever, this thing,
Well, also, just to add to that, that's another thing I was just texting my, just to get some, more information, but I don't know if you guys noticed on Mill Plain Road by Taunton, we have one of those electronic signs that we did put up. It's, signs that DPW is helping us put up because they're pretty big. They work on solar, so we don't have the battery issues like we had with our other ones. We still have the other ones out there, but the batteries run out and then they don't work anymore, so these are powered. And the other nice thing about these signs is that we can retrieve a ton of information from it. So it'll give us all kinds of good stuff, like if we want speeds, highest speed, lowest speed, it has all the
Speed,
volume and all these statistics. So these are the new ones that you'll see. They're the yellowish orange frame sign. It'll say your speed is, and then it'll be electronically posted.
Is that the RRFB?
No, that's a different one.
That's a different one.
Yeah, this is called, I want to get it right now. It's a digital speed or radar feedback sign.
Yeah.
So it will tell you the speed that you're doing. So that if you, some people don't realize they're doing 38 in a 30, and it's kind of a reminder for them.
It's right in that area, yeah.
Just a real quick question, too, offline. Do they still put those hose things and they count the cars and stuff ever?
Very little. They're not accurate.
I haven't seen one in years.
The reason for
They still have them for general volume stuff. These ones, or what they call the black cat, they get the hidden rate, they get that hidden speed because people don't see them.
So the black cat is what we used to use. We still use it a lot, but it's a real pain to set up. It actually takes a couple of hours, believe it or not, it takes a couple of hours to
This is the thing, the hose across the road?
No, that was the old style.
That's the old-
They don't really use it.
You don't even notice it. It's up on a phone pole. It's a black box. And
so you get the real speed.
The thing is, what happens is, the road has to be, people will complain, I've had complaints come in on our Q alerts for a short little road where people say, cars are flying and, so what we've done in the traffic unit to try to address or help people address these issues is, one thing is we'll go out, we'll do some, testing where we'll send a car out. We'll actually test the different times to see. We look at volume, we look at, what the top speed is, what the lowest speed is, and so on and so forth. If it's not a problematic area, we, kind of just basically tell the people, hey, we have done some sporadic checks there, but a road like that would not be really good for a sign like that because, in essence, really the speed is not. You can't on a 700-foot road. You're not getting up to a certain speed because the road is narrow. You've got cars parked on the side. It seems though that the speed goes a lot more. I've actually gone out and sometimes just to help educate people is you tell me how fast you think that car was going, and I'll have a laser on it. It'll be it's 40 miles an hour, and the thing's going 25. So the perception of it all, it's very different, especially if you're preoccupied with let's say backing out of your driveway and some car goes by and you think that he was going, so it's really hard. But those signs that I was just talking about, the reason why I wanted to bring it up is because that was supposed to assist with the crosswalks by the school, on top of us doing enforcement in the area. We've done a lot of enforcement in Mill Plain Road area. So that was supposed to aid that, but now it will stay as we spoke before. I told you that, like you said, it doesn't last. So we move these things around, and it's been, we've agreed, DPW has agreed to help us every 8 weeks to move them around. So that sign will be on Mill Plain and Taunton for another 3 weeks. We have one on Villa Avenue that's going to be coming and being moved.
And what do you do with the data? Who looks at that? And who?
So the data, we don't always capture all the data if there's no need for it. So basically, the first
speeding is the main one, obviously.
The first thing we want to do is try to correct the problem by saying to people, hey, look, you're going too fast. So it's the first stages, right? Then second stage is we might go in there and do some random enforcement, and give out a verbal warning or something like that and say, hey, listen, we're here. It's been a problematic area. This is what your speed is. And then we step it up to, okay, now obviously if the speeds are unreasonable and they're elevated, then we give out tickets. But a lot of times we just try to, educate, because I'll be honest with you, I've had people going down Fairfield Woods Road and they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize, they'll drive a Tesla, and they're so preoccupied, they put these big, huge screens in these Teslas. And it's like having a TV in there, you know? And I'm
It
like,
is a TV.
And they're not, they're just driving away, the car's like doing it, you know, and they're like doing 50 miles an hour, and I'm like, oh, you're flying, you know? So there's a lot of distractions, and I know that's part of our problem.
Yeah, for sure.
In this day and age, so. But anyway, those signs are going, you're gonna see them being moved around, so.
Yeah, I think the next location, one of them is Pequot Avenue, so, because I know there's a
Yeah, so there's
group,
a complaint with people getting off I-95, when it gets backed up, and now we're getting complaints that Pequot Road is, or Pequot Ave is, you know, getting heavy traffic where they're flying through for the shortcuts. So we have that in our target. It's a narrow road, it's really hard, you've got people
They
walking.
were there this morning cutting trees too, that was.
Yeah, the other one I would suggest, only because, he was captain then, and the chief now. We met with, and there's somebody who lives near Stratfield School, or North Stratfield School, on this committee, I think.
That would have been Sarah, probably.
No, it was.
Oh, Jose does, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Jose,
Yeah.
And so, I think, talking to Lieutenant Renzari, Hector there, to maybe do it in that, North Stratfield School.
Do you know what his complaint was, though? Did it come over on a queue alert?
No, this was one from pre-COVID. When the chief was doing what you're,
Because, you know, we get some crazy things that come across our queue alerts. I don't know, do you guys get queue alerts and stuff?
Yeah, we do, we get them, yeah.
Yeah, and some of them are just, I gotta tell you, they're just...
Excessive speeding on French Street was another one.
Yeah, I was down there, I mean, it's like, there was 5 cars, and, you know, somebody, again, that's, you know, I mean, but some of these queue alerts that we get, I mean, we had this one guy, that's why I'm asking, that was on Stratfield Road, and he's offering the cops bacon, homemade bacon. It's kind of like a demeaning type of thing, you know? If you guys come up here, I'm gonna give you some homemade bacon. Okay. So, but, you know what I mean, so, like, you get crazy stuff, and this guy is putting on his queue alert, and he goes, I'll bet you $100 that if you send your cops up here, this is a money-making spot. Well, first of all, we as police officers don't do any of this stuff to make money, okay? It's to make the neighborhood safer, and it gets really carried away, but you have, you know, people that are just, I don't know,
No, the speeding tickets go to the state.
They go to the state,
I didn't
know
know that.
We don't make money on that, and there's no money.
Everybody thinks you do,
You know, and...
That complaint form that these gentlemen were referring to before. We call it Q alert, because that's what it's the online complaints.
I just, you know, I mean, I've been a police officer for 21, 22 years, and I you know, I know a lot of times sometimes if we have the time to make a phone call and explain it to people, I don't think they understand, or they just need to be educated on what's what, because all of us don't know how each job is done, you know?
Well, if you tie it into your what do they call it now? Your living, what is it, living, no, what's the streets? You have a name for streets too. Come on.
What do you mean?
Operation Living Streets or something like that, where you educate the public.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and like I said, there's so many different ways, but I've talked, and people actually respond very well to that. So it's just like this, like what we talked about, like you calling up and complaining about the lanes, you know, a bicycle having an issue. I mean, if we get a problem like that, and it's indeed a problem, we go out there, we check it, and we see if it is a problem, or if it's just somebody that's just kind of, you know, making something, not that they would make it up, but I think a part of it is somebody being frustrated or whatever, or not, you know, or thinking that these cars are going that fast or whatever.
Because we have the capability of putting it in too, the Q alert. So if we see something or we hear something at this meeting, we can relay it.
So, but we get a ton of them, so we try again, like the town, we'll filter through what's most important. So.
Or somebody can pitch them at their neighbor and clean his gutter, you know.
Yeah, but if we know there's a target area that's a problem, we'll go there. That's why I said I'm sure that DPW works the same way with, like, you know, problematic areas.
But yeah, just in general, I try to take pride of improving the sidewalks, doing all these things, trying to do some traffic calming measures, help out. Some things are a little bit beyond our control. We'd like to do certain things on state highways, but the DOT that maintains and controls that. There's some other things where you know, we're kind of caught in the middle trying to figure and help, because obviously there's some members of the public that want this and others that don't, and you go back and forth. But we try to help, on that, and, as I said, overall, I think that this committee, when I think it was formed in like 2013 or 14, has really helped a lot. And, you know, it might, if you go by a month-by-month period, it might not seem a lot, but by the end of the year, you know, and that's where I don't blame you guys. It would have been nice to have a recap and, you know, look at all the things that we've done. And then you at the end, you're like, wow, that is a lot, you know, and because, you know, we don't want to waste your time. You guys don't want to waste our time. And if we work together, you know, we try to get things done, you know. I mean, that's what it's all about.
So, speaking of state roads, Route 1, Post Road, obviously, 135, 58, 59. What else?
135.
Right.
Okay. 136, which is near Westport and Weston.
Yep.
You said 58 and 59, right?
Right, yeah. But if it has a number.
Then there's the surprise ones that only engineering geeks would know. Route 130 is a small section from the Post Road Circle to the into Bridgeport.
Yep, that's where Luigi's is.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Luigi's Road, right.
That's 130.
Yeah, I see the sign for that, I'm like...
Yeah, I know, but nobody knows. Years ago it was 1A or something. And then there's a couple of ones real oddball that they don't even mark. There's a Route 732, which is the Black Rock Turnpike, when it splits with Tunxus Hill and what used to be Blockbuster.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Stefano's.
So if you take the left, that's Route 58, but if you take the right...
Downhill and go downhill.
Downhill, it's only like a mile and a half.
So 732 was all downhill.
Yeah, that's the Black Rock Turnpike. Yeah.
And that's a state road?
That's a state road until it hits Route 1. And then when it goes by BJ's, then that's town again.
When it becomes, what is it?
Grassmere?
Grassmere.
No, actually, Brewster Street.
Brewster Street, yeah. I knew there was an R in there.
Yeah. But I think you got it, and then there's little sections by Jefferson Street for a quarter of a mile and something else. We actually have a map.
Yeah.
I can show you the map.
Yeah, but everything, almost all the problems, that's a state road. That's a state road. That's the thing.
Yeah.
At least Stratfield isn't.
But I think you got most of them, if I recall. Yeah.
But you told me the state roads, and you told me before about the guy was crossing on diagonally, go with the shopping wagon. I'm on Black Rock the other day, daylight, heading from the ShopRite side towards the Trader Joe side. And I'm at the light, and I watch a bunch of high school girls, middle school girls, probably middle school, coming over from by Little Pub, and they decide to cross diagonally right through the middle of the intersection.
Oh, God.
Yeah, because when that walk thing goes on, it's all forced.
Right, and now then the people getting left turn arrows, and I was like, you know, and you try to say, hey, kid, you know, like, what kid is gonna, you know,
like I said,
go like that and that's available.
Because the Sacred Heart is another one where I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, you're going to college, but you know, don't walk, but they'll cross, they'll do whatever, and or they're studying for their exam as they're walking, you know, and not even looking. But then I've also seen, as I said before, a car doing literally what appears to be 50 or 60 miles per hour, and it's like, there's a red light, there's 4 cars in front of you. Why must you accelerate, and then you're going to be putting on your brakes? You know,
you got to the red light
before
me.
The driver, you know, you're like...
I have a question about crosswalks.
Sure.
For the schools, I have one in particular about Ward. There's crosswalk on Melville that goes to towards Brookline, and there's one that crosses Naps. There's nothing down at the 2 other entrances for the parking lot, and I see it every day because my daughter goes there. But are crossing guards part of the school program, or is that town?
So they're part of the town, right?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I believe it's the Board of Ed who decides where they go, and I think they're under
our
special police.
No, they get... Well, the specials are, but the crossing, I know they do
crossing guards.
But we don't manage them, though.
No, it's the police and the Board.
Yeah,
All right, well, the reason why I'm bringing it up is, I'm surprised they don't have more crossing guards, especially at the high school.
So what it is we used to have an officer that used to do it.
No, I know that, yeah.
So the officer would, who was the, resource officer for the school, used to do it in the morning and the afternoon. And then, at one point in time, it was switched over and it went to a patrol. But if the patrol is on a call, then they can't be there. Like, that was a big thing at Notre Dame. Like, if you were Blue 4 up in the area, that was your thing. But then if you're in the middle of an accident or something like that, well, you can't just hang up your call and you gotta go do, you know, so then it kinda gets unfilled. I don't know what they're doing now. I know they have like, Ludlow, has a crossing guard there.
Is it just one?
Yeah.
So it's one at both high schools?
Yeah, so it's probably one at both high schools now, that's what we probably did.
I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of issues with...
There was always one officer too, because in the afternoon, they would go to one side, and then in the morning, it would be on the, Melville side. So it would, you know, you'd switch it up.
I'm just curious, because I mean, it with the foot traffic from all the students walking and stuff, it just, you know, a lot of cars, especially, it's always in the morning.
Is that Melville and Cornell, or?
No,
Because you're looking at
Cornell.
Naps Highway more than, right? Or-
Naps Highway doesn't have any, there's nobody there.
Oh,
There's
okay.
never anybody there, but, because of the traffic, and the kids,
They
like
used
you
to
just
have it
said,
in
they
the
don't even
afternoon.
look. They just keep walking,
Yeah.
which baffles me. And
But
they
what I'm
cross
trying to
all
get,
over
which
the
is
place,
the
though.
area of concern, though?
It's the whole,
Just
from,
the whole
from the,
street.
from the two entrances on Naps to
Mhm.
the corner of
To
Naps
the corner
and
and Naps
Melville.
and Melville,
The
okay.
kids just walk
Okay, so-
through the parking lot, they cross the road,
Mhm.
they walking behind buses.
So that's,
in
again,
front-
that's a
No,
problem,
no.
yeah, that's, I'm just saying, that's a problem
It's
because they're
insane
not,
though.
the pedestrians, that's something you can't, even a cop can't even tell, like, I could be in an intersection, guys, come on over here, you know, they just.
No,
they're
I know,
yeah.
I just, it's.
I have the
I'm surprised
solution.
there haven't been a lot of
Bring
incidents.
back patrol boys, right, Tim? You guys remember that?
Yeah, you know, the white
The white
plastic,
strap, you had the white strap here.
Yeah, you sand for a plastic, your vinyl sand
And
brown.
they were students that acted as crossing
Yeah, I
guards.
remember that. We had
Every
that.
school
We
had them,
we
I
had
mean,
that.
in like in front of them too.
Curious, because.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm not,
Yes, that's the only reason.
Let me,
I'm gonna leave though, because I live
Yeah,
in town, and I
sure,
don't know
go ahead.
what the
No,
weather
yeah.
is, but if there's a last minute thing, I'll
Yep, there
hang
you go.
around, otherwise.
No,
I'll-
you're good, thanks, Bill.
All right, thank
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Have a nice
Quick
holiday.
question, motor vehicle, is it illegal or not to be driving with headphones on or earbuds on?
Is it, well, you're supposed to be able to be cognizant, you hear things.
Right.
Is there a law on it? There isn't a particular statute
Jesus.
that says, you know, that you can't have them in.
My brother-in-law's deaf, he drives, he
Yeah.
can't hear anything.
But he's more talking about distraction, so it
Oh,
could
yeah,
fall
yeah.
in as a distracted driving thing, but to be able to, substantiate that, that's gonna be pretty difficult. So that, they'll say, well, it's like listening to the radio really loud,
Yeah,
it's
right.
like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like my, mother-in-law talking to me loudly, you know, I don't know, there's gonna be some excuse.
Yeah.
The
Oh, yeah.
only thing that we do is people, I laugh this, because they misconstrue, they always think that, if they're in the GPS mode, holding their phone, that's okay, no, it's not.
Because it's not, I'm not
The
texting,
handheld device.
I'm mapping.
Anything that's handheld is an electronic device that is handheld, cannot have that.
Supposed to be mounted, right?
Yes.
Put it on the seat, yeah.
So that we can, there is a distracted driving statute, but it's not gonna cover what you're looking
Yeah.
at, like what you're saying. So that's a good point with the deaf,
Yeah.
you know, people that are deaf, I mean, they
Yeah.
can't hear anything.
Is that I wonder if that's a DMV thing, I mean, that you, can you be deaf and drive?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, my brother-in-law got his license when he was 16.
No, but I mean, yes, but if he were going to get his license today,
Oh, yeah.
as a deaf person, could you get a license?
Oh, yes. He actually drove a standard for a while.
Yeah.
You know, he couldn't, much took a beating, but.
Again, it's the distraction with, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here, actually, it's that.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
I-
mean, how many people are thinking about a million other things, they're not even thinking about it, they don't even know that, what road they passed by, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'm on the road all day long, and it's just crazy what you see.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're on the highway, they said 19, how the hell did I get here? I don't think I remember it was 17.
Especially
Oh,
if
that-
you're
I see.
from routine,
all day
like a
long.
routine road,
Oh,
and then you're not
iPad.
doing that routine, you'll think, oh, damn. I
Sitting
should've
at
gone
green
home.
light,
Yeah.
sitting at, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, but I've been hitting that area of Fairfield Woods lately. We had some complaints on Morehouse Highway with the speeding, by Bulkley. So, kinda hitting that area, hitting Fairfield Woods, but I got an array of people speed. I had an elderly lady and, she's never been stopped by the police ever in my entire life, and, you know, she was doing.
Would you want some bacon?
She was doing about 45. Yeah, I could read you that. That's
About
a
apple
really
pie.
That's a really interesting one. So, but that woman, she was, I think she was like, 80-something years old. You know,
Wow.
She was pretty old, and her driving was pretty darn good, but what kind of got me is like, you know, usually people, like, when you stop an elderly person, they're kind of like slow to get going again, and she took off before I got
Eat my duck, sucker.
That's funny.
He's
Like,
doing
the last thing
paperwork,
they
he
have-
won't chase
The
you
last thing
again.
that they're holding on to is that license, boy. That's
Yeah,
all.
right.
Oh, man.
That last bit of independence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to take it away from my
Oh, yeah, no,
mother.
no problem. But, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Frank. Appreciate
Yeah.
all your input.
Yeah.
And,
All right.
it's great having someone from the PD, you know, you're the first one. Again, none of us have been here a real long time, other than Tom, been here for.
But, like I was saying too, though, check out that site when you look at
Definitely
that.
love that.
It's got a lot of good information on it, and,
Yeah, I wrote it down.
I'm actually gonna, I haven't used it as a logged-in feature. I wanted to see from a guest, just being, like, not signing up, and you can still get information with not signing up on the website. I think if I sign in and register, I can get more information than everybody else, because.
Because you have credentials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know,
It'll give me other stats that you might
The
not.
specific request from Tim was to get a report. Can you generate a report for the
So
next meeting, or?
it's not something that would make sense to you guys, and like for us to track pedestrian accidents, versus, like just regular car accidents, we don't have something in our system that breaks that down. They're all.
Well, then how does this UConn system know what to
Because the
do?
forms that so when we have to go through an accident, it's a real
Mhm.
big one, by the way.
Yeah.
It's the whole first, 3 pages of the report is all state statistics. So it's like check boxes, or certain, conditions that have to be, applied into each of these boxes, which is actually spelling out all the state statistics. But as far as our in-house, the only thing I can tell you is that we can look at accidents by whether it's, an insurance accident, whether there's been an arrest made, or if there's injuries. But it's not gonna break down just pedestrians or bicycle. I have to go in and look at all the.
Does it let you know location?
Oh, yeah, location and everything. It just doesn't break down pedestrians separately.
Yeah, got it.
That's still an accident with, it could be an accident with injuries, or it could just be an accident with a pedestrian, but I'm not gonna know that unless, the only reason why I know is because I work in a traffic division, and that's why I handle a lot of accidents. So I just have more knowledge because I'm in that division, so.
No, but if it happens at one location multiple times, obviously you guys look into that.
Oh, yeah, no, we can go back, it's just, what Steve was saying is that how, do we have a way to give you
Yeah,
a
no, I
report
gotcha.
that's gonna break down I can't do that, that's not something that I'm gonna have to be able to break down for you.
So you would you have any information on bike accidents?
It would be the
Same
same
thing.
thing, I would have to go
You'd have
in
to look
to
for
each
that.
individual accident,
Yeah,
but that's why
but the UConn.
this
would
stuff,
be-
because this site breaks it down by what we check off. It's just that our system doesn't track it like that, but there's other systems that do.
You could probably put a keyword in like bicycle or pedestrian, and it
Yes.
might give you a population of
Yeah,
something.
they'll populate, and you'll see.
Yeah,
when you go
that's
to
interesting,
your
okay, well,
own-
maybe that's,
So that's
So
actually
that's
better,
categorized?
yes.
So, yeah, in other words, yeah.
And we have to do it because that's what the state, just so we
Gotcha.
can do their statistics. That's how they get the driving
Right, right,
statistics
right.
and all these other things. It's from our accidents,
Right,
so.
okay. Great.
All right,
all right, thank you so much,
All right, you're
appreciate it.
have a good night.
Thank you.
Good holiday.
Have a good Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Buon Natale.
Buon Natale.
Ciao. All right,
Take care.
You too.
Mary, you still there? Mary Streeto,
I am still here, yep.
would you like to say anything? Because we monopolized the conversation for an hour and a half in here, so.
Yeah,
Debbie?
I just wanted to say, I think Tom said it, I echo him. I think in order to successfully move forward, we need to just really focus on the 3 or 4, whatever was asked for, objectives that Brenda asked for, and to see what we get out of that, and then move on from there, because I just think that's the only way to really be able to take this to the next level is with that support, and try to drive some of those things, those initiatives, to what we can.
Okay. I think we're all in agreement there. I think we're working towards that. Like I said, things have kind of, I don't want to say ground to a halt.
Yeah, I don't know that we really just took the time to really just take a meeting and just dive into it and focus on, what those are. I mean, I think that's important.
I would envision, if I had my choice on how to do things, I would say set up 2 or 3 of us, 2 or 3 town employees, the relevant ones like Bill, like the PD or whatever, and actually go through the master plan, and say, okay, this is done, cross it out. And to have somebody else do it, I think is not going to happen.
Didn't we get a report though from?
But I don't know that we know that until we, bring that to there, to Brenda, because I think that I thought they did look at it and see what was done already. Yeah,
well,
that was done, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. So this is probably a lead into the next. Actually, before we do anything, so I don't forget, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from November 17, 2022?
So moved.
Tom, second?
Second.
Tim, any comment, adjustments, changes? No? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, approved
Aye.
unanimously. Okay. Yeah, I just want to, this sort of ties into the next topic, which, in my opinion, which is the election of chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary. So, I reached out to Jennifer Carpenter, who is, I think she's like the assistant to the person.
She's the chief of staff for Brenda.
It's kind of like from that show, The Office. She's the assistant to the assistant or whatever.
Deputy.
But anyhow, I asked about, one of the things, I certainly want to ask anybody when we look at the officers, 3 positions here. To me, one of the reasons why I think that people shy away from it is because of the administrative effort required, especially at the highest level, okay? And, having done this on an interim basis for 2 months, it's really an admin job. You have to draft an agenda, you have to post the minutes, you have to do this, that, and the other thing, okay? So, when I sent it to Jennifer asking if there's any way we could help, here's the response. I'll read it to y'all. It says, lastly, since Bike and Ped is a smaller board, unlike BOF and RTM, of course we know that, we unfortunately aren't able to provide you with a paid recording secretary, so when you do have your next meeting this month or in December, members should approve 2023 meeting dates and vote on the 2023 chair, vice chair, and secretary, and the secretary should be the one to take minutes and submit them to the town clerk and members, that, whatever. So, I remember, when Sarah asked for if somebody wanted to be vice chairman, nobody raised their hand, and I finally said I would do it because she says, you only have to do it when I'm, sick or whatever, but generally you're a little backup. And I said, okay, fine. Unfortunately, I think that wasn't the true statement on her part, but I'll leave it at that. And I've expressed my, I'll say lack of desire to be the chairman of this committee. So, I do want to ask and again, unfortunately, Mike, I never heard from Mike, and I never heard from Jose, and that's not a good thing. You know, but, and Jay, when he said he wasn't coming, I did email him back and said, you know, do you have any interest in being the chairperson? And he didn't get back to me. So I don't know if anybody's going to step up. I'll ask everybody in the room right now if you have an interest in being the chairman. Tim is no. Tom is no.
I don't know enough about it.
Well, and that's how I felt too, to be honest. I've only been on it for a couple months. I've expressed my interest of not, you know, wanting to do it on you know, permanently or be elected to it or whatever. Mary, do you have any interest?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it.
That's wonderful news. Okay. No, I'm sorry, because what I was going to say was going to happen, I believe, is that if everybody kind of said no, I was going to contact Brenda Kupchak and say, look, here's the deal. You know, we really don't have anybody. What do you suggest? And, you know, to me, you know, the ideal situation, and I think it would be just a wonderful thing, but it's probably not going to happen, is that a town employee becomes the chairperson, okay? They give them a stipend, you know, I don't care, $5,000 a year. It's part of your job, you know, but you are the chairman now, and you have a secretary, and they could do the agenda, and you have a secretary, and they could take the minutes, and you blah, blah, blah. Go ahead, Tim, wants to say something.
I have some experience with this, because I got involved with the people in Norwalk when they were kind of flying by the seat of their pants. And so we assigned, and there was no stipend. It was just became part of somebody's job at the health department to support the committee, to make sure that the agendas.
Well, there's a difference between support and running the meeting, though. There's a big difference.
Yeah, there was.
Yes.
The committee elected a chairperson.
Yep.
And she did a wonderful job. She talked to the person at the health department, and they got things done. And it seems to me that's missing here. I mean, we get reports from that guy Bill Santina.
They're great.
But and yeah, it's fine. But there's nobody within the operation of the town is assigned to this to support this committee.
Yep. And I will say that one of the, you know, things, I mean, I'm retired and I have no intention of working again, but, you know, I think it is a nice thing to have on your resume, to be honest. I mean, if this is your field, to, you know, say I was the chairman of this, you know, Bike and Pedestrian Committee. I really believe that's a good thing to have, but I don't have that interest there.
No, but the opposite end of that, though, Steve, it's hard when you're working full-time, too. And I commute to the city, and, you know, so at the same time, it's also hard to work full-time.
Well, here's the thing. So here's a good example, okay? So Jose was Sarah picked names out of a hat, and we all took turns taking the minutes, okay?
Yeah.
Jose was supposed to take the minutes today, okay? Now, he didn't say he wasn't coming, whatever, so I'm going to end up doing them, okay? Because I feel I have to, you know? So, you know, I think the ideal situation is if we had, Mary, you were at the last meeting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about really making the minutes bare bones. Motions,
whatever the law requires.
two sentences for, you know, Bill likes to talk and he's great and he has a ton of information. But just put in a couple of things for,
and that's it.
And then it's not a big deal. So I would love to see the three. I'd be willing to stay on as vice chairman, whatever it's called. Okay. And I think a secretary can become not a big deal. Okay. See, I think one of the Sarah did not have that. She was standalone, okay? And I really believe that if you have the three people in place, things go a lot better. I mean, you know, I think you don't feel all that necessity to kind of be responsible for everything. And as the chairperson, you can delegate things or whatever and that type. So I think that's ideal situation. Mary, you know, what I'm gonna do, what I'd like to do is defer this till everybody's here, though, okay, this discussion. But I appreciate the fact, and if you want to do it, I think that's wonderful. I would certainly stay on as vice chairman, and I hope somebody would volunteer to be the secretary, or let's call it record keeper instead of secretary. It sounds like such an old-fashioned term.
Yeah.
Keeper of records or some goddamn thing, I don't know. But I mean, I think that would, work well. But what I'm going to do in the interim is I'm going to send an email to Jose and Mike and ask them, say, do you have any, I already sent it to Jay today, and he didn't get back to me. Do you have any interest in being a chairperson? And, I got to be honest, Mary, I'm certainly thrilled that you said you would be interested in doing it. And
I'll think about it. I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
Okay, no, look, we have another month, so you could, yeah. Tim's saying, vote now, get her in there now. But
no. Tell Jose we voted him in.
Yeah, that's, we're gonna vote Jose in. Like, if you don't show up with, you don't have.
All those in favor of Jose.
Yeah. No. I'll think about it. I don't have, I'll think about it.
Mary, in between the next meeting, we could have a discussion, a phone discussion or something, or meet for coffee and, and talk about it. I mean, I really enjoy, I really enjoy the committee. I think, and again, I hate to bring this up, but I think Sarah, inundated us with so much stuff.
Oh, man.
That it became like a job. Oh. And this should not be a job, okay? And that's how I felt. Nobody.
It was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot of information. She's also very passionate about it. She tried to.
Right. But she was delegating to people, and we had subcommittee. Yeah.
It was an avocation.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said a few minutes ago, which was, to keep on track is to build this objectives to get to see where it's going, and I don't. You need to be like a slave to the minutes, as we were doing, or the whatever. But I do think to have a working document to work off of is important.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to discuss things with Bill and whoever. We talk kind of about the same things all the time. I think we need to get on track and to get that to Brenda and do you see where it goes from there and have something to work off of rather than just
I think we have to update those two documents and have them current, and then I think that's the best starting point we can have.
So your Santina thing shows me a phone call. I've been trying to get a hold of her because I want to sound her out on two things. One is that grant that she was talking about. Would it be possible for the health department to commit some of those monies to getting us a facilitator to update our plan and get somebody who knows
somebody in the town, not us. That's the point. I don't care.
No, what I'm saying is we need to update the master plan.
Right.
So
but again, we just talk about this over and over. We have to bring these things up to figure out what's going to be done and what's not. Is that part of it? Is that what we want Brenda to do? And bring these things up instead of just talking about it over. Like, here's the things we need, and then we have to see what's going to be approved, and from there we move forward.
Okay. So
we need the support. We need the support from the top.
Okay. So toward that end, what I'm thinking is, if the health department will commit some of that preventive health block grant that they use to make sidewalks, to paying somebody to.
But who are you going to pay, though?
There are people out there that do this, that facilitate planning.
I think town employees should do it.
But they don't. Yeah, but
Bill can do.
Yeah, but hold on.
50%
What?
of it.
I missed it. Do what? I missed it.
The master plan.
Updating the master plan, just taking out things that are done. Let's start with that.
But where do we want to go? And are these the guys? They need direction from somebody who is really into biking and pedestrian stuff. And I mean,
but if this is something we want done, why isn't it something that we put as one of our objectives, and then we bring it to Brenda as she suggested, and then we see, her lead to say who's going to do it. Either the town's going to do it or they're going to source it out or whatever. Like, this is, if this is one of the things, and I'm saying, not saying it is or isn't, that we want done, this is something that we bring to her. Instead of,
I think if we presented that we don't feel like we could function well as a committee because you go back to the charge, okay? They call it the charge. I call it goals or whatever. But it says this committee is responsible for implementing the master plan. Okay, we can't implement something that's not current.
We have no control over it.
Yeah. So I think you're going down the right path, Mary, for sure. That
I agree. I think that we're not going to get them to hire somebody to be our babysitter.
I agree.
No, not to be our babysitter, to help us craft this plan.
I understand, but I was just going onto the town website because maybe in the wildest dreams you might get somebody. They may hire somebody to work with us and to work with 3 or 4 other commissions that the town has. The tree commission, the sewer commission.
Doesn't the police department have a resource officer for the
school
pedestrians?
No. He was liaison.
He was an SRO though before he got this job.
The
Frank.
plan that's 10 years old though.
But I understand. But what I'm saying is, to his point about there are, like when we were talking with, I don't know what town it was, New Britain, and then there were other towns where it was the people. Maybe it was Norwalk. There were people in the town government who are doing this.
Right.
And our point is there's nobody in this town government who's doing this. I mean, Bill tells us about sidewalks, and Santina tells us about grants.
I'm sorry?
What department would it fall under?
Well, I think Bill said it certainly would be engineering, health, building department, and police. Those are probably the 4.
Well, maybe then it falls under the
public works.
Selectman's office.
Health and public works. It was
So if
only
they're going to have
health
one individual.
because the public works wanted nothing to do with this. I mean,
It's just more work.
More work, and you go to them and say, if you narrow down the travel lane for cars, you could get a bike lane, and we're not doing that.
Right.
And then it took pressure from the mayor to say,
Right.
You're gonna do it, so, suck it up and get in it. But in the beginning, it was the health department working with a group of people who were driving the mayor crazy, but they wanted to see this happen, and it did.
Yeah.
And they were not that organized, so we, using grant funds that the health department has, similar to what Santina has, we brought in a facilitator to craft a strategic plan.
I mean, look,
it still costs like $3,000.
It's certainly an option. Certainly an option. But I think that, taking one of our 6 o'clock meetings in January or February or whatever, maybe February would be a better one, and say, look, we're going to spend our 2-hour meeting, okay, which now I've increased to 2 hours, which I think is fair.
All right, it's fine.
And we're going to go through the master plan, starting with page 1.
Did we approve the 2-hour change? Because I didn't see that.
No, it wasn't approved. I said that I didn't particularly like the hard stop, and I feel like meetings need to be more open, and not stop conversations, which happened a lot with, the agenda even said like, 6:22, you're on for 5 minutes. I disagreed with that. And
the stop is always good because you go on forever. And I know myself, I have to get up and go to work. So I think we should vote on that before anybody gets approved.
I suggested, and it wasn't approved or anything, I just suggested making the hard stop at 8 o'clock, that's all. And if we get done at 7:30 or 7:15, that's it. We don't have to, it's not, that's how I always went to meetings, so anyhow. But
yeah.
If you think it's really important to keep it at 7:30, we can do that. I don't, it's just that I feel like we only get together one time a month, and
but that's why we try to make it more organized. I think we'll make use of that time. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're volunteers. I don't know, want to be there all those hours. Like I said, I travel into work.
I don't know who said 1.5's the right number. I mean, I don't know. It seems like last month.
And that's what I signed up for. So originally.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, listen. No, there was nothing formally done. It's 7:15 now, you know, so you gotta stop talking, Mary, that's why we're running over.
Well, we get an opportunity until 7:25, so.
But maybe with the reports from the town people, we can get them on we want you to report on X, Y, and Z, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And he's a good guy, but he tends to ramble.
Right, he does. But maybe, here's another, just a real quick option, then we're gonna adjourn the meeting here, but, you know, maybe we say, Bill, Jim went, you know, please, you go through the report and mark it up, and then we sit in the room and we look at all their markups, and then we coordinate it. You know, maybe that's the way, as opposed to having all the bodies here.
No, then it'll just drone on forever.
Right.
Give them a prize, you're right, delegate it to them.
Yep.
If we can't get someone to work for us, delegate it to them.
Right.
And say, you know, we believe that your department is responsible for blah, 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 blah. Maybe identify where whatever.
Even within the master plan.
And then
you work on page 12 and 13.
Or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
but we'd have to, maybe that's what we spend our next meeting going through.
Yep, okay.
And we draft a letter or whatever, we send it to them.
Yep.
And you CC Kupchak and whoever else and say, we're maybe you have to give her a heads up. We're gonna tell your department heads that they have to get back to us, not have to. We're requesting their cooperation in this Board of Selectmen approved thing that we are, you know, to respond on, because this is how the town is gonna keep moving forward. Because, you know, the thing is, the town can't check off that they have all this green stuff. They don't get funding, they don't get grants, they don't get, so how much of this is just, yes, create these LP commissions so we can, you know, check this off versus how much they really believe in anything is.
You know, look, we got a lot of, I think this group has a lot of good ideas, I really do. I you know, and I feel good, when I leave here, I feel good. Like, I feel like this last minute, I feel like we accomplished something. But anyhow, I want to accomplish one more thing, if you guys don't mind, and that was, approve the, regular meeting dates for 2023. I sent it around last month.
I won't be here on March 16th.
Okay, well, that's fine, but we can't change dates for individuals.
No, I'm just letting you know.
Yes, but it's strictly the third Thursday of every month. It's boilerplate. So can I make a motion to, or somebody make a motion?
I make a motion, we accept
We approve it.
we adopt the meeting
The meeting calendar for 2023?
Absolutely.
Okay, Tom and Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mary.
All
right, thanks.
The, town people will take the month off, and we just meet by ourselves.
Yeah, let's figure out what it is, and we can.
Yeah, good idea.
And we can identify what it is.
January 19th.
My daughter's having a baby in Colorado, so we're going out there.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll give more thought about what we talked about too. I'm not fully committing right now. Okay, just so you know.
I understand. And that'll change everything, because then we're gonna have to go back to, you know, if you choose not to do it, we're gonna have to go back, or Jose and, Mike, also choose not, then we're gonna have to go back, I'm gonna have to go back to Brendan and say, here's where we're at, what do you suggest, and see where it goes, so.
Okay,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's possible that if the committee could be disbanded, which would be kinda sad, but it is what it is, so.
And when we send these letters, or memos, whatever you wanna call it, to these 3 or 4 different department heads, if that gets some people pissed, and they start ringing the phone, running down up to Brenda's office, saying, hey, whatever.
That's a good thing.
And you bet your ass it is.
Yeah.
Shut up and take care of it. I mean, you haven't been doing this shit all along?
Okay.
Or.
All right, Mary, thank you. Sorry to keep you late. Be well, and happy holidays.
Okay.